Welcome to Stunt Stories. I'm Corey Eubanks. Today I have a friend of mine who has been a friend of mine for 40 years, I think. We've been working in the film and television industry. His name is Russell Solberg. And Russell, thank you so much for taking time. I know you're out of town working on a project, but thank you so much for taking time to be on Stunt Stories.
Yeah, happy to do it.
So let's go way back. First of all, you and I have been working together for a long time, have done so much. There's nobody in the film business or television business that I've done more projects with on a wide variety than with you. But when did we first meet? I know we met on the Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Yep, we did.
But how did we meet?
You know what? I think it was on Dukes. And then I think shortly after that through rodeo, because you rode bareback horses and I steer wrestled, then at least we knew each other there, on the weekends.
But did we ever officially shake hands and, hi, I'm Corey. Hey, I'm Russell. Did that ever happen?
Hey, Corey, you said we've been doing this for 40 some years. We've both been hit on the head. How in the hell am I going to remember that?
Yeah, good. So wait a minute. The memory just came back to me. That's right. I remember you came up to me and you said, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. My name's Russell Solberg. I've always wanted to meet you. I remember now. That's how it went down.
No, I think actually you've been hit on the head more than I have, apparently.
I think you're right. Oh my gosh. So before we dive into your career, which is fascinating and very, very impressive, you are currently working on a new TV show. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a pilot series, Dark Wind, which I'm working for Chris Howell, which is both, a mutual friend of ours. And actually you kind of put us together because we were probably, you'd think that we were kind of different magnets, but we actually kind of ended up really working well together.
Yeah, you two are both have a lot in common with your backgrounds and your personalities. And it's funny how sometimes those two types of people come together. They can either clash or they can become great friends. And you guys have been good friends for a long, long time.
Yep, it's worked out well.
So you and we met on the Dukes of Hazzard. We went through a lot on that show, good and bad, right?
Yep.
Good and bad. Why don't you share with us a good memory, and then why don't you share with us, if you have one, a bad memory from working on the Dukes of Hazzard?
You know what? I guess the good memory was probably the break of my career was, I was working extra way back when, and kind of when the business it was a requirement almost you had to be working as an extra to become a stunt guy, because they wanted you to learn set etiquette, and they wanted to see if you really wanted this business and stick around. So I get a call, I call in and say, hey, I'm Russell Solberg. I'm, to work extra. And they said, can you work Tuesday and Thursday of next week? And I said, sure. And they said, okay, it's on Dukes of Hazzard. So I go out to Lake Sherwood, and they tell me that, okay, you got to get in the General Lee, the orange car, and you got to drive up here and stop and get out. And then an armored car comes up behind us, and they had John and Tom come out to second unit. And then we step out of the car, and they, shake our hand, slap us on the back, and Waylon Jennings tells the story. So I get in the car, I drive up and pull to a stop. I open up the door and get out.
Okay. Wait, but first of all.
No.
First of all, were you doubling John Schnyder at the time?
No. I was, like I said, this is background, and I'm just it turned out to kind of be a look-alike type deal, because it was, the Duke boys switched places with the armored car guys to save the day. I don't know the story.
I know. We never read the scripts, did we?
No, they never let us know anything was going on up until they said hollered action. But so I back up and I crawl out the window, and John comes to slap me on the back, and Waylon tells the story, and then they send me home. So 2 days later, I go to the studio where we do the other half, where the armored car guys and the General Lee, we switch. And so it was kind of the same deal, just a one-shot type deal. And Paul Baxley was walking away, and I build up my courage, and I walk up and I said, Mr. Baxley, says, yeah, I'm Russell Solberg. I'm interested in doing stunts.
Oh, so you knew you knew Paul Baxley was the stunt coordinator, second unit director? Someone told you?
Yeah. I figured that out. So, and if there's the best timing in the world, probably opened up the door for my career right that day. Because, every coordinator, since our careers have went on, we know how the young guys want to hustle. And it's, there's times you can help them, there's times you can't. But Paul, as we both know, he was a guy that gave young guys an opportunity. But he got hustled so much that he, at that time, and we both know Paul, he grabbed my hand and shook my hand as we're doing that. And the timing couldn't have been more better than John walked behind me. And Paul's head stopped. He still had hold of my hand. And he looked over at John, looked at me, looked at John, looked at me, and says, come out and see me next week, babe.
He just said right there, you're the same height, same color hair. You could be his stunt double.
Yes. He didn't know if I had the ability, but he knew I was a hell of a photo double.
Right.
So, but just if John Schnyder wouldn't have walked behind me right at that second, I don't know if Paul would have clicked enough, because, he's probably going 100 mile an hour, directing.
Yeah. He wouldn't have connected the dots.
No. So that was probably the best thing that happened to me on Dukes, that opened that door. And then, then it was a little bit of a crawl, steep hill to crawl up, even, day to day on Dukes, as we both know, getting the opportunity and then taking advantage of it. Then right after that, there was a horse episode where John had to ride a horse.
I remember this. Yes.
And so I came in and I doubled him on horseback. And I heard someone, I heard through the grapevine that one of the producers says, I didn't know John could ride that well, because they also had, the other double was, a little shorter and injured at the time is the reason I got the job. So I just, it was just a lucky break, and it opened up a lot of doors. And we both know what, the hell we went through learning, I think, made us better. I remember at Paul's wake, we look at what Paul put us through, but look what Paul turned out. He turned out a lot of talented people.
Yeah, he did. Hey, just between you and I mean, whoever's listening, was John Schnyder, could he ride a horse? Was he good? Was he bad? Was he horrible?
You know what? John can ride a horse. But he's actually made a fairly decent career, on some of the Westerns he's done. But Corey, we both know, we both are members of the Professional Rodeos Cowboy Association. So we, I guess, we were just more fortunate to grow up on horses than he was. So
was that a polite way of saying he sucked?
No, I think John, I probably could have, went on to win the world in the steer wrestling if he really, had the
talent,
that ambition, and if that acting thing wouldn't have gotten his way.
Yeah. So that was one of your fondest memories, or that the luck that you were in the right place at the right time and got that, and you were all excited because then you became John Schnyder's full figure stunt double, and then started actually driving for him as well, along with Al Wyatt Jr.
Yeah. And as we know, one of the stories is that, I was kind of the crawl out of the window and, tackle somebody, or crawl out of the hood and transfer to something. And Alan drove. So I actually, I doubled Alan too, I guess. But
wait, crawl out the window. What about the time, Russell, we were at Indian Dunes and you were yanked out the window by a helicopter? Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I've told, yes, I do. And and what was even the prior to getting yanked out of the window is if the Dukes fans will know that it was a biplane that was supposed to have this ladder come down, and Bo grabs the ladder and goes on and transfers onto the police car. And so the first time we did it, going down Indian Dunes, you were driving, and I crawled out on the front of the hood, and my only safety handhold was the windshield wiper. And by the time we get down to the end of the runway, we're going 45, 50 miles an hour and the helicopter pilot couldn't kind of get it gauged into where to drop the ladder on the car. We're coming to the end of the runway. I look over my shoulder, and I'm thinking this is not going to be fun when we go off into the weeds. And that just all of a sudden the bottom rung of that rope that was on a helicopter comes up, and I get my arm run through the first rung of that deal, and you go off the end of the runway, and I get lifted up, and I, swing I got a hold of my arm, and I'm saying, this is pretty cool. And he banks way around and arches to the other end. Then I go, this is pretty cool, and then all of a sudden, hey, my arm's getting tired.
But wait a minute. Were you hanging on with your right arm?
I was.
That's your steer wrestling arm.
I know, but the other arm, because Corey, I'm 6'4", but I'm scared being that tall. So you get me up in the air. My left hand had clamped off all the blood in my right arm.
And you had no safety harness, no way of clipping in. You're just hanging on with your arm. If you let go to scratch your nose or whatever, you would have fallen.
Yeah. So when we did the next few takes, believe me, I made sure I got the third rung so I could put my knee through the bottom rung so I could take a little pressure off just hanging there. But so we think that's the way it's going to be. You're right. You were driving. Alan was in the back of the car, as I remember, and we're following the insert car. And then helicopter comes over the top of us, and now the helicopter is getting really good at setting the rope by the car. So, and you're going to have to tell the end of this story, because now I'm not out of the car, but the rope's there. So I grab a hold of the rope, and what do you hear?
I hear Paul Baxley yell over the walkie-talkie, "Yank him out of there!" All I saw were your boots just go out the window, and I went, "Holy shit!"
And that's what they used in the show because it looked good. But yes, that was
yank him out of there. No one told you that we're going to yank you out of there. It just freaking happened. Oh my God! Hey, how excited were you the first time you got to jump the General Lee?
Oh, it was a big deal because Alan was such a we both know it's tough to even fill in Alan's sandals because he was such an amazing driver. So it was the opportunity to even get in the car for me was tough. So, and then beyond that, to try to get in the jumps, Paul was not going to risk, even making me sore when he couldn't see me, So I remember my first jump that when I'm crawling in there and Paul walks up, he's too big, get him out of there. And everybody says, no, he's fine. And I got to do my first jump.
I remember that.
Yep. And from then on, I'd get a few dribbles. And I got to say that when Paul loosened up and let me start, having a few jumps, and then where this is going, because the biggest jump I ever got to do was actually for free, no contract, no adjustment, because of our going to get the cows.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
So, we were the two, cowboy guys on the show. I think Paul didn't know my name. I was the cowboy kid. And so he said, and he was probably ahead on his schedule. So he said, hey, you guys go get the cows. I want them in the shot because the ranch we were on had cows. So I jump into General Lee, and I just want to let everybody know there's usually 3 sides to a story, but this side, there's only 2. There's Corey's, mine, and mine is the truth. And so I go clear up the canyon, and the cows are as far away as they can be. So I jump out in the car, and they're not afraid of the cars anymore. So and it's a canyon, so we think we can just kind of get them headed down that way. So I get behind them, and I have to get out and holler at him to go. I'd run back to the car and go, and I think, okay, I've been gone a long time. I need to get back.
I remember Paul on the set saying, "What's taking him so long? I thought he was a cowboy."
Yeah. So I take off, and I think most of the Dukes people know that, all the roads, we named them. So, the crew could, hey, we're going to Water Trough Road. We're going to the S turns. We're going to, Radiator Road. So everything was named. So I'm heading back without the cows. So I failed there. And so as I'm coming down, you went to at base camp and got the Jesse pickup and was going to come up. And we met at Water Trough Road.
No, but wait a minute. Let me just pause you there for a moment.
Yep.
You were feeling some frustration because you failed, as you admitted, about getting the cows. And you knew that you were going to come back and probably take a verbal lashing from Paul Baxley, that you failed. So is it possible, Russell, that maybe you were trying to vent and take out some of your frustration by stomping on the accelerator of the General Lee going around the Water Trough Road?
Well, that's probably, see, you laugh so everybody knows you lied. So,
isn't that a possibility that you were just trying to hurry back down to the set while I was just very cautiously driving around, looking very slowly, driving very slow, looking, trying to find you?
They're why instilled on this that there's two sides of this story, mine and the truth.
Okay, let me hear yours. I'm sorry, I'm being rude. Let me just hear your version.
So I hope everybody can visualize what we're going to do. Water Trough was right past the S turns where you could really, kind of get sideways through them. But then the Water Trough where I'm coming back is on the left. You're coming up, it's on the right. But so the Water Trough would have been, there's a big wide open area by the Water Trough. Now, going to my right, there's a big mountain straight up. So I can't go to the right. But you coming up the hill, you have a ton of right. You can go hit the Water Trough. But I only have, maybe a few feet to go before I hit the mountain. So that's the only place I could go. I was holding my line, and then all of a sudden, and I would say in both of our defense, hey, it was a blind corner. And we as we said, we tagged. But
I just remember seeing an orange blur coming at me at this incredible speed, and with an 01 on the side, all crossed up, spitting out dirt. I'm sorry, I'm being rude. Go ahead with your story.
Interruptions are rude. Yes, they are. And but I think we'll agree on this one after we tag that we both get out of the car. And we're probably maybe 30 feet apart and I was stopped and you're 30 feet past me. So that would be like you were going faster than I was. So we both get out and we look at the damage on both our vehicles, and we both looked at each other and we both said the same thing under our breath that started with F.
Yes.
And then we looked at each other, but the fender had got bent in on the General Lee from you hitting me. So we got in the
I thought it was a tag.
pickup.
I thought it was a tag.
Yeah, from you tagging me. So we get in the Jesse pickup and we're heading back, and we hear Paul on the radio, forget the cows. We just, let's just do the shot. So we get on. No, actually, I got to back it up. I got to remember this because it was a long time ago. Is Paul was screaming on the radio, "What do you guys get? Forget the cows, come back!" And my reaction was, I just turned my radio off.
I was wondering if you were going to say that because I remember you doing it. I said, that fixes everything. That fixes the problem. Just turn off the walkie-talkie.
Yeah. So, but we head back and we said, Paul, we tagged going around Water Trough. We got to go get another general. And the general's not running. We didn't say tag. We said the general is not running. We got to get another general. And he got on the radio and started jumping on Tommy.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of these effing cars not working, And so we get to base camp, and Tommy says, "What went wrong? What went wrong?" And we said, "No, we tagged going around Water Trough." He said, "You go tell Paul." So we jump in a new general, and we go and we do the shot. And then it was break time. They brought in the snacks, and everybody, ran to the snack truck, and Paul's walking off by himself. And both of us, we go, Here's our time. So we follow, both of us, we walk up to Paul. We said, Paul, it wasn't Tommy's fault. We tagged across water trough. And I'll let you finish this story.
Well, wait a minute. I don't even remember doing that.
No. We walked up and we said, hey, Paul, we tagged going across, on Water Trough Road. And Paul looked at us and he went, huh. And he walked through us and he said, guys, listen to this. He made us tell our story to the crew.
Oh, that's right. See, when you have these horrific things happen to you when you're young, you try to block them out of your mind. I think that's what I.
So I think everybody listening now will know that I'm telling the truth, and you can't remember the truth, so you have to make it up.
I think that's pretty accurate.
So we tell our story, and then Paul looked at us and he says, "You two are doing the jumps tomorrow." So actually, that was kind of like, damn the luck. So, and there was a 40-foot semi, and they had boxes jumped up, stacked up there, and they were afraid that the general couldn't hit it. So we jacked the ramps up like two 2x12s, and they give me a car that had nitrous in it, and it was that straight long runway. So it was like, why have a nitrous car? But we use it, and boom, and I endoed on the landing.
I remember that, Russell.
And side over side. And that was when the first time, because it took a little bit, because it's upside down, it took a little bit to get out. And that was the first time I, kind of seen Paul. And, usually we took our pants off before we got out, but I crawled out of the car, and Paul was probably, 75 feet away. And he looked at it and make sure that he didn't kill his photo double. That for John. So he looked at me and gave me the thumbs up, and I started to smile. Then he turned around and gave the thumbs down, as we've all seen.
Yes, that was always just
he raised the bar. Then you had to jump a police car onto the
that flatbed,
semi.
Yeah,
onto the flatbed through the boxes, and you're supposed to stay there, but you fell off
on the cardboard boxes and stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you failed. You were supposed to stay up there, and you fell off.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about physics for a second. If you're going to be going 55 or 60 to land onto the 40-foot long flat semi-truck trailer with cardboard boxes on it, how are you supposed to stop in 40 feet? When you're sliding on cardboard boxes?
Hey, you're supposed to be a trained professional.
Yeah, well, we know that's not true, and I was winging it.
And?
Hey, what about Russell? Wasn't there was a moment when Paul actually saw the damage to the General Lee? Remember that Tommy parked?
Oh yeah, you're right. Our transpo buddies could have been a good friend to us, because all the damage is on the driver's side. So if they just pulled it into the mechanics bay, for our knowledge and for everybody listening, that if they would have pulled it in straight to the mechanics bay, all the damage would have been to, the mechanics bay, and the clean side would have been out by the road. But no, they pull it all the way in a big circle and bring it, and they park it to the damaged side out to the road,
exposing it to everybody.
Yep. So we're standing there.
Damn it.
And you're right. Now that's when the jumps came, because Paul's on the insert cart, and he comes driving by, and he looks at the damage, and he grabs the radio and says, "Richie, back it up." Richie backs it up, the camera car driver, and he looks at it. He says, "Little tag, huh? You guys got the jumps tomorrow."
That's right. I remember. Like, oh my God. And we didn't get paid.
You got a daily, no adjustment, and if I recall, and then I didn't get a daily, and I didn't get an adjustment.
So you worked for
so it
free.
Never happened. It never happened.
Wow.
My biggest jump didn't really technically happen.
But it made the episode. It was on.
Yeah.
It was in the episode. Hey, didn't you win the World Stunt Award?
I won a stunt award before it was the Taurus Awards.
Well, yeah, I didn't say the Taurus, but before that, a lot of people don't know that there actually was the World Stunt Awards. Yep. And you, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you win that for Runaway Train?
No, I won it for a Hunter episode. And I won it for a job that I turned down.
Okay, that's confusing. What do you mean?
because it was a motorcycle. It was a doubling Fred Dreyer, which I, was doing on the show. But then there was a deal where he had to be ride the full police motorcycle. And I can ride a motorcycle from point A to point B, but I'm not a motorcycle guy. So I told Terry Leonard, I said, you know what? I said, I'm probably not your guy. So he hired Scotty Dockstetter that did all the chips because he was the tallest motorcycle guy around then.
Right. Skinny like Fred Dreyer.
Yep. So I was still working the night that we were going to, to do the chase. And I was just, going to be an indie driver that they, weave through. And I had actually went in a little shop and had some little munchies I was going, because before we got the streets where it got late enough where we'd own the streets, we were doing a shot down a back alley. So Scotty's on the bike and he comes down, they went down the alley, and he comes down and he sees the camera, and the bike guy he is, he just, watch this, and he revs it up and he just spins that camera, and it comes back and he high sights it and slaps it down. And he broke his collarbone.
Ouch.
So he's laying on the ground. Leonard looks at me and he said, "Suit up." And I go, "Oh shit." So I looked down on the ground and I said, "Scotty, I need the coat." And his grimacing face, he had to take the wardrobe off, for me to get. And then we do this whole chase, and there's stories in that where, we are flying down through. Terry Jackson and I was flying down through there, and we're going 80, 90 miles an hour, so we go past even our lockup. This is 3 or 4 in the morning and there's nobody there. So I'm in a full police bike, dressed as a police officer. Terry Jackson's in all black with 6-gun stretched to his hips. And we go past our lockup and we're slowing down, and he turns around. There's another police car that comes across the road, lights flashing, doors come over, guns come up, and Terry Jackson's got his hands over his head. I circle around, go back up on the curb by Terry, and just keep going. I said, "I'm not getting shot." So, but the police thought it was real. But
oh my God.
So, but then later that, actually we'd already done the stunt, but we're back. Terry and I are back at number 1, and I've got a police bike that they bought from one of the retired police officers. And I go to Scotty's back, he's got his arm in a sling, and he coaches me on how to do this. So I'm just overthinking it. But we're back at number 1, and we got this little PA kid with, the radio up to his ear, because we're on 2 bikes that don't really run that great, so we're kind of keeping him high revved. And when he got his arm in the air and he circles it around like we're rolling, and then he drops his arm and we take off. And we had it planned, and I give Terry the distance, and we go, gear. And I look down, and we were going 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
I'm looking up, and he's leaving me. So I just grab some throttle, and we take off, and then we both lay it down underneath the belly of a semi and come out the other side. But so all Scotty told me was, he said, "Get on that back brake and just take that, that handlebar to the gas tank and keep it there."
But if you don't do that at the right time, you're hitting a semi truck trailer. That
Yes.
thing's gonna cut you in half.
And luckily, my overthinking it was the best thing that saved me that day, is because it's a full dress police bike, and they have the lay down bars, and hindsight, cut those off so they don't make it a lay down. They try to make the bike come up. So I lay it down and I hold onto that bar like Scotty told me to, and I've got to hold it to the tank, and I hold it to the tank, and then we get close to the semi, so I let go. And then those lay down bars pick that bike back up. But luckily for me, I held on to it long enough that it went under the semi, but when it come up, it hit the top of the semi and then just spun. And I had to pull my legs back up because I was catching it, but we made it through. And if it wasn't for Scotty's coaching me to really do that and overthink it, if I'd let go too early, you're right, it would have come up and hit the semi, come back down, and I'd hit it.
Yeah, damn.
But so we end up winning a stunt award for a stunt I turned down.
So was it a best motorcycle stunt, or how did they do it back then?
It was a vehicular. Best
vehicular stunt. You know, you have done some really spectacular pipe ramps throughout your career. I know one of my favorites you did was on that film No Man's Land that I was stunt coordinating, and we jackknifed that semi-trailer, and you went flying through that thing when you in that Z28. Remember that?
I do.
And I remember you hit that ramp so fast and got so high. I thought, oh shit, he's going to go over the semi-truck trailer and not go through it, because we wanted you to go through it, and then the ass end of the car ripped through it, and that was a hard landing for you, from what I remember.
Yeah, it landed on the driver's door, and as we know, that's probably the worst place you want to land, and because it kind of just slaps you. But yeah, it was a thumper.
So was the one on Hunter.
Well, then what was, and that day that you were good enough to give me that turnover, but even it was supposed to happen the day before. And I was strapped in, and they're going, okay, let's roll cameras.
Oh, you're talking on No Man's Land.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that, Russell. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to remind the audience that people that forget things make shit up, so that's probably not true.
No, this is true. You're right.
So you had hired me, and I came in because I was doing Hunter also, so I was kind of working, back and forth. And so I came in, and they go, okay, roll cameras and cut. Roll cameras, cut. Roll cameras. We'll just do it tomorrow.
Because the clouds kept getting. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
So I didn't know if I could even come back, but sure enough, I got to come back. I got to do the turnover for you, and then I remember and that was the ramp that you designed, the pipe ramp.
Right.
Okay, and that, I don't know. I think it was just kind of luck, because physics is not neither one of ours.
Strong points.
Mine. Yeah, you just went out there and said, that high, and I'll put the kicker up here and hope, and but it turned out to be an amazing pipe ramp that has been copied numerous times.
And just right there, let me just give credit where credit is due. I did not design it. That was designed by Larry Fuentes and Steve Purcell. They sketched out the design. I just went and welded it together. But don't tell anybody. If you think it was a great pipe ramp, yes, I designed it.
Wow, that is something I did not know.
Yes.
And I've been giving you undue credit for how many years?
Decades. Yes.
But the
welds were nice. You have to admit, they were pretty welds.
It's still there's, and I wonder how many cars went off that ramp.
School buses, and just,
I know
that ramp's got
a school bus over on with it.
You did?
Yep.
Yeah. See, Bob Orson did. I mean, that ramp's got an impressive resume. I look it up on IMDb, but it has nothing.
But then I remember because it was a construction site, like, all the, the 80s movies had that, construction site that you were going to turn a car over. So there was a big pile of sand, and the truck driver that was doing that, he says, yeah, I got to deliver a pile of, something material to a show Monday called Hunter. And I said, you know what, you can load that up and just bring that. And I said, I'm the second unit director on it. That will work fine, because he was going to have to go dump it and get different dirt. So he brought that same pile of sand to the following Monday, and I ended up doing a turnover on it with Alan leading me in, and same pipe ramp, but without the delay of the semi, probably about the same speed. And I did a full 360 and landed on my wheels. And then probably I was hoping to get a hit, tumble, and then run into a cement truck. But as soon as I hit, it was like, cement truck.
Yeah, that was and that cement trucks, they don't budge.
No, it won. But
that was a hell of a turnover. You know what other one you did when we were in Bristol Motor Speedway, Bristol, Tennessee? You did a pipe ramp at one of the Dukes of Hazzard, the Dukes Fests, and I mean, everyone in the audience that was there that day just freaked out, because you came in very, very fast. I think you're just trying to show off to everybody, and you came in really, really fast. and went so freaking high and more than a 360. It was like two 360s in the air spinning, and then you hit and tumble. And I'm like, dang. Yeah, that was a beautiful. You've done a lot of really good, beautiful turnovers
and I remember that it was, and that's when the Dukes Fest Live Fest. My turnovers doing with them. A lot of the fans really were appreciative that they were, fun to watch. But I remember after getting in the car, because you had to jump the general right after there, and I remember we were walking up on the ramp, and you said, you're an asshole. He says, how am I going to top that?
I know. I'm jumping the General Lee. I'm supposed to be the star of the day, and you just stole my thunder from me. I remember that. Yeah. It's like, I was like, that was it. That was like the most climactic thing of the day. Hey, so I'm going on IMDb, and anyone who's interested in knowing what Russell Solberg's career is, how long, and all the films, it's just incredible. The thing that he hasn't mentioned once, because he's very humble, is in addition to being a stuntman, a stunt coordinator, a second unit director, he's also directed episodic television. He's also directed feature films with actors like Burt Reynolds and Michael Ironside. You have done so much stuff, Russell, that it's impossible for me and one sitting down with you on a podcast episode to talk about everything that you've done in your career. I would hope that you would consider coming back on another episode, and we could talk about things like you working on, oh my gosh, we worked together on Michael, Fast Money, Wise Guys. You did Tombstone, The Rookie. There's so many. Die Hard. You worked on Die Hard.
Yeah.
Dragnet. So many. And then I want to share with everybody your experience when you're doubling John Voight on Runaway Train. I thought that's where you won the award. You should have. That was crazy. But anyway,
that was one of my probably favorite films. Not when we were doing it, but when we were doing it, it was super fun, and because of the elements and all that. But then the accolades that I got from that, I would get producers that seen my name on it and called me and said, that was the best show I've ever seen, which, Voight is probably the best actor I've ever worked with.
Yeah. What a nice man. I got the opportunity to work with him once too. Hey, just so you know, just for your information, on IMDb, you have been, it is the year 2021. Okay. Your IMDb shuts off at 2015.
And you're right. It's my fault. And it's, one, I got to find somebody that knows how to fix all that.
Because yeah, go ahead. Cause your credits go way, way, way beyond, and they don't even listen. I'm obviously privy to a lot of the shows you've worked on, and they're not even listed in here.
And that's where the old time resume, when you were not in charge anymore, and the IMDb was the way, so you just kind of got laxed at it. And you know what? And I was spoiled. I worked for a producer for probably 18 years, and then when he decided we weren't going to make movies anymore, then I had to think about how do I get back in this business?
Yeah.
And another reason is probably about 6 years ago, I got a call from my dad, and he told me, he says, you need to get here. There's things you need to learn. So I moved back to Colorado to take care of my parents, and I built a house there, and remarried, but everybody in the business thinks I've retired.
Well, but yet then you go and you work with Michael Bay in Italy, right, on that movie, and here you are working on another TV show. So you're not retired; you're still actively working, but just staying home as much as you can.
You know what? Right now, after getting home and taking care of my parents, my mom has passed. My dad is, he's, we've got him in a pretty good place. Other than, he just went through COVID last week or a couple weeks ago when I'm here, fully vaccinated, and he gets COVID again. So, and it's struggling with older parents. I think everybody out there will understand that. But is my career over? I hope not. I enjoy what we do. I love the creativity of it. And, you know, I'm going to probably put my hat back in the ring and, you know, maybe try to get back in this game.
Did you direct 18 Wheels of Justice?
Yes, I directed a few of those.
And you've directed Renegade and Silk Stockings. And what other TV shows did you do? You did a lot of TV shows.
Those were kind of the wheelhouse, but I was, you know, fortunate enough that, you know, Stu Siegel was nice enough to, you know, give me the break. But I will give credit where credit is due. You know, we both were second unit directors, but to break into a director's, you know, shoes was tough for a stunt guy.
Yeah, unless your name was Hal Needham.
Yeah, you know, and you had, you know, Bert jump in there and say he's going to be my guy. But I will give credit where credit is due. The guy that gave me the opportunity to become a director is Corey Eubanks.
Oh my God, that's right.
So, you know, you called me and you want to do that show. So I actually took time off a really good paying job.
Yes. Because I think you worked on Payback. I think you worked for free, didn't you?
Well, to beat the DGA system, we paid me, and then I got the check, and then we put it back in the budget
because it was such a low budget film.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Corey, and we both know. I think that if we could go back and do those films again, we've had so much fun doing those films
in a heartbeat.
And you know, Rue Flower was, you know, a grip for us down in San Diego, and he had never keyed, but we gave him the bump up to be a key. And I remember, you know, somebody down there that asked, "Hey, Rue, how was it working for Corey and Russell?" And he says, "I've never worked so hard in my life and had so much fun."
Yeah.
So
we had a great time.
I thought that was a huge compliment.
What a great experience for both of us on that, to go out. My first time ever writing a screenplay, your first time ever directing a feature film.
It had a beginning and a middle and an end. And it, you know, and just like everybody says, you get screwed by the distributor. But,
yeah, we learned that, didn't we?
Yeah,
so, so what do you think about coming on and doing another Stunt Stories?
Yeah, because believe me, there's so many, you know, true things I can tell, you know, your audience about you that you will they should
never
really
admit
know.
that I would never admit. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you got time for one more little story on this?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. I want to tell the story about our second film that we're doing in San Ynez. That
Forced to Kill.
And I mean, we, being a low budget show, I owned some 35 millimeter cameras. So we went up to your mom's art show, and we got up on the hill with the whole pasture full of cars, and we cut that into the movie like it was this big, you know, prize fight deal in the movie. But the production value of having, you know, 1,000 cars there, and if people really look, there's Boy Scouts, you know, doing the valet.
Yeah.
And then so we use that, but then now we get to and you and I both, we're sitting there building the sets. We're doing everything we can, moving vehicles around. So we're building the fighting cage, you know, corral, you know, in the back of your family's ranch. And you got the post hole driver and you're posting this, and you take your Rolex watch off and you set it on the bleachers. And then we continue to work. And then you say, "Man, I got to go get ready to film that night." So I seen the watch and I go, "Oh crap." So I stuck it in my pocket.
You stole it.
No, I saved it.
You basically stole it.
And if I'd left it there, it would have been stolen, but I saved it. So, you know, then you realized, "Oh God, I lost my watch." So I had full intentions that when we had our wrap party that I was going to give it back to you. But of course, you know, things go and the show was over and we were both working for nothing. So then we actually had to go work on a real job to get paid. So we didn't end up with a wrap party on that one. So it's, what was it, a year or two later? I don't know.
It was a long time.
And it was when you directed your first show.
Yes. Bigfoot, the unforgettable encounter.
And you hired me as an actor.
That is true.
And so I drive up
To Shaver Lake. Shaver Lake.
Yep, Shaver Lake.
Yeah.
And so I get a watch box and I wrap it all up. And it just timing wise, when I got there, it was lunch. And so we're standing there in line, and you come up, you haven't seen the guy, each other in a while. So, Hollywood hug, all this. And then I present you with I said, Corey, on your directing debut, I, got you a gift. And you unwrapped it and you looked at it and you opened it up and says, you got me a Rolex? I said, yeah, congratulations. And then you took it out of there and you looked at it and you looked at it and you looked at the little paint deal on the back of the watch and you said, this is my watch. And I said, I know, I just gave it to you. No, this is my watch. And I said to a crew that I didn't know, I said, great, Corey, I give you a gift and you try to make it out that it's yours.
That was so dishonest of you. It was so I hope everybody understands what you did. You stole my watch, then put it into
saved it.
A Rolex box and wrapped it up, and then tried to take credit like you went and bought me a brand new Rolex and gave it to me.
I gave you a watch that you would not have had unless I gave it to you.
Okay, this goes back to the water trough story. Okay, there's two sides to every story. Hey, Russell, thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, let's do this again. This would be a lot of fun, and you could dig back through your memory book and start going, oh, next time we do a stunt stories, I'm going to talk about this.
Oh, I've now that usually it takes, at least 5 or 6 stunt guys standing around drinking beer, and one story will lead to another,
yes,
and to another, and to another. So, next time we might have to have 4 or 5 guys and some cold beer.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much, Russell. You guys, thanks for listening to Stunt Stories. Have a great night.